Hello there, M Price at it again, coming at you live for all you M Priceiacs out there. 500 and some change of you to be exact. This is a little bit of a 500 subscriber celebration. Call back to, yes, Dog Price, we know you're here. A callback to, I asked in a little short, what kind of stuff do people want? And I did get a request for another eating video. You may know I'm not too big a fan of the eating videos, but I am a big fan of getting you people what you want and what you deserve. So today is going to be a ASMR eating crunchy foods and steak, because steak is a celebratory food. And talking about pragmatism and utilitarianism and kind of comparing them together. For said crunchy foods, I have some lettuce, some old tomato slices that I wasn't using, obviously my steak. Let me prepare my Snoopy towel, obviously the greatest napkin. My Jan White is here present. And my new favorite thing, Siete hot honey kettle chips, cooked in avocado oil, no doubt, no less. I could be a Wingstop spokesperson. I could be a Siete chips spokesperson, and I'm going to use the scissors to open them like a little bastard. That's still kind of loud. I'm trying to maximize the relaxation of this video, and we'll see if it works or not. Keep in mind, I do have Dog Price here, and I am trying to film this before W Price gets home and Dog Price goes crazy. Hopefully this is quiet. Can you tell I haven't made one of these for a while? Also, I have a little new setup. All right, let's get a chip taste. Hot honey, Siete chips. Very nice. Very hot, very honey-like. I must say there are Fuego chips for Siete chips. They're not very Fuego. These are a lot more Fuego than the Fuego chips. Hopefully this makes some sort of sound that as relaxes you, that you can pick up on with my cell phone that is now filming instead of the old camera I used to use. And let us take a bite of our steak first, while it's still warm, before it gets cold, because you know how things happen when you make hour-long eating videos. Quick cut here to me making the steak, have a nice sizzle sound for the 10 seconds until Dog Price starts barking and losing his mind and ruining my footage. And there we go. Nice char on the outside, nice warm pink center. Good seasoning combination. Classic flavors. Once again, I can feel the slight heat radiating off of this, so let's eat it before it's gone. Oh yeah. That's good stuff. Here's to all 500 and some change of you. I hope you're having a steak tonight too. But not you, Dog Price. You already ate. And then we'll take a big old chunk of lettuce for some reason. I hope that's crunchy. Kind of goes with steak. And there's a reason for the lettuce. There's a utilitarian reason for the lettuce. Because high dog price, I know. Nobody, not utilitarian for dogs. There's two sort of philosophies that I'm going to talk about today: pragmatism and utilitarianism. Utilitarianism, think of the word utility, helping people, helping others, getting things going up and running. And utilitarianism is kind of the idea, the belief that, you're put on earth to maximize the happiness of those around you, to maximize joy, to maximize, it's a philosophy more of like a moral and ethical function, not necessarily always practical, but something that looks at the world in a very humanist sense and wants to make all our humans very pleasant and give them a jubilant time on earth, which is why Price is here with some lettuce. Crunching away for you like a maniac, like an Priceiac, because I want to maximize your happiness and your joy. And I want to make sure that you, my loyal viewers, know that I do care about you. More steak before it's cold. A good way to cook steak, by the way, one hot pan, and only a few minutes on each side, and you can actually press down on the steak when you cook it. It's really easy to do, like on your finger, and how like squishy the steak is can kind of let you know how tender or how cooked it is on the inside. So you kind of want like not like a jelly steak, something that's raw. A little firmness there, but a whole lot of give. That's why you know that it's nice and warm and pink on the inside. Oh my God, the hot honey is getting to me. But in contrast to utilitarianism, steak. Thank you, buddy. That's so good. It's so much better when you make the food yourself when it's not the fast food that I've eaten on here in the past that makes me sick. It's so good when it's homemade. But in contrast to utilitarianism, and they're not direct, parallel, they're not direct opposites, is pragmatism. The philosophy of being pragmatic. And if you don't know what pragmatic means, think practical. Pragmatic, practical. The philosophy of going after the outcome that may not necessarily be the most beneficial for all the humanists out there in terms of happiness and joy and, the human condition, but in terms of practical, real life, quantifiable results. So for me, a pragmatic approach to all this, this would be to not make, these eating videos, because I don't necessarily like them the best. I like to do other things. Or for instance, if I was really pragmatic, I'd be making dog price videos, because for some reason dog price has the greatest return on viewers, and I wonder why. He's so cute. So pragmatism is more sort of the idea of focusing on not necessarily yourself, but focusing on the outcomes that provide the most quantifiable, tangible benefit. So, for instance, it could be a utilitarian, a utilitarian outcome. It could be an outcome that does make a lot of people happy if your situation happens to need that outcome, whereas utilitarianism is very much like a set in stone. We want people to be happy. No matter the results, we want people to be happy. Pragmatism can kind of flex and bow and bend, and sometimes, the best result can be the one with the most people who are happy, but sometimes not. And it's up to you, the eyes of the auteur here to view and to interpret what you think is the best outcome and what you think is, maybe not necessarily what you think, I guess, is the best outcome, but what the problem you're trying to solve determines to be the best outcome. For instance, if I want the most viewers, dog videos. If I want the happiest viewers in terms of my current, clientele, maybe food videos. But there's no reason that I can't shift and make it so that these utilitarian food videos, for all my foodies out there, that they can't be the pragmatic ones. Maybe this video takes off, maybe more videos like this take off. Matter of fact, when I first did my first eating video, I intended it to be one-off, and it became my most popular video. Right now, it's my second most popular, behind dog price, of course. And I approached this with a very pragmatic lens. I approached it with I want to gain more subscribers, I want to gain more followers, I want to build this following on my channel so I can better advertise and promote myself and promote my artistic works. So I guess I'm doing food videos. I guess I'm doing this for a while to play to the crowd, for lack of a better term, and to get the results I need. But what does David Bowie warn against? David Bowie, the greatest artist ever. He says, don't play the crowd. Do your own thing. And I think mostly I like to do my own thing. And I do my own thing. But once in a while, I like to throw you a bone. Like, I can't promise there's going to be a bunch of these videos. But once in a while is fine. It gives me an excuse to eat a nice juicy steak. That's already kind of cold. I'll take it. Let's get a bite of my Midwestern salad. It's Midwestern when it's just lettuce and an overly thick slice of tomato. Just missing the copious amounts of ranch dressing. Well, if I was really Midwest, I'd be putting the ranch on my steak. But I don't do that here. Well, maybe it's homemade ranch. Another video. And I suppose you can look at this through a political sense of the utilitarians would be people who are like maybe globalists, maybe socialists, people who want universal like healthcare, who want universal childcare, who want universal basic income. Whereas, say, more pragmatic people would want a more laissez-faire, kill or be killed society where those with the most advantages rise to the top, a rags to riches kind of lifestyle. And but going back to kind of what I said earlier about pragmatism not necessarily always being like maybe like, for lack of a better term, greed or, selfishness. You can have a quantifiable benefit from things that might seem to be utilitarian. For instance, something like healthcare, where, you feel free to shoot me. Actually, please don't kill me. Shoot me in the metaphorical sense, like in the comments. But like how studies have shown that it's actually cheaper, in the long run to give people, health care, because then that prevents, chronic illnesses, diseases, things that come back down the road to basically bite you in the butt. Things that if you just increase your basic standard of living, well, guess what? Crime goes down, social unrest goes down, and that can be viewed as very pragmatic. You could even go into, here's another video, Keynesian versus Hayekian economics. The idea of, okay, sure, Hayek-based economics are like pretty slow and pretty much like from the bottom up, and Keynesian is the top down, riding the bull wave and all this stuff that might be detrimental in the long run, even though there are short-term pleasures, short-term benefits, kind of like now. But you might view the kind of simpler, more boring, more forgotten economic stuff of Hayek, and be like, oh well, this is the kind of puny utilitarian thing, but in the long run, it does have that more pragmatic benefit of now the roots of your economy are better, now the building blocks of your economy are better, and now your laissez-faire capitalism actually it has a better foothold and better shoes to stand in the long run, as opposed to just crazy market swings. Which, once again, not financial advice, but Wingstop has a publicly traded stock, and that's a fact. I suppose what I initially thought when given this request was one of my favorite authors, Ayn Rand, and some of her books, The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, especially Atlas Shrugged, in which she talks about objectivism. Objectivism is pretty similar to pragmatism, I would say, and is more so the quote-unquote selfish idea of looking at life objectively, looking at life through a lens objectively in regards to reality, what is real, what is not real, what will objectively make things better. Very egocentric, not in the sense of selfishness, but in the sense of how do you rise to your true potential. And I think a lot of people think, oh, Ayn Rand is a whatever huge industrialist, just wants to make life great for the rich and bad for the poor. But maybe through attaining the best value of yourself and the best form of yourself, you're able to then maximize your benefit to others and to create a more utilitarian paradise. For instance, even Oprah Winfrey has mentioned the best way to help others is to help yourself, because only when you are at your maximum potential, only when you're at your best state, are you then enabled to help others, to not only have the resources, but the mental bandwidth, the emotional and spiritual strength. Only at that point, when you're at your best, can you best help those around you. So maybe there is a benefit from being selfish, from being greedy, provided you use that not for the love of greed or for the love of money or resources or capital or whatnot, but for the idea of you're making yourself better so then you can help other people, so that you can make the world a better place. And coming back to me directly, you could argue that whether it's this video, whether it's other videos, whether it's videos that are more aimed at you guys, more aimed at just pleasing me, all of those help other people discover me. And whether those new people like the eating videos, the literary analysis videos, the review videos, any of that stuff, you could argue that their life, I mean, an arrogant thing to say, that they're better off for knowing about emprise, but that because they achieved an end where they have some kind of enrichment from watching something I make, or from reading something I wrote, or from just interacting with my community, who knows, that the selfish act of me trying to make my channel thrive, of trying to make maybe clickbait content or consumerist content, then helped them discover either that content that made them happy, maybe content that made them smarter, maybe content that made them question things, or maybe something that just gave them a newfound appreciation for something they didn't know about before. And that's not so bad at all, is it? That piece of lettuce had some steak juice on it. So, can you hear the plane? A lot of planes fly over here. I'm not sure if the audio here picks up the planes. Let me know in the comments if you're obnoxious planes while I talk. Also, let me know if I'm talking out of my ass. Just comment to your heart's content. Let me know what you like about me. Let me know what you don't like about me. Let me know if I've made an enrichment in your life. May I encourage you also to look at yourself and to look at what you can do pragmatically to help those around you utilitarianly. Are you the best worker at your job who can uplift those around you? Or maybe you're a leader and you can better lead your team. Are you a musician who's keeping their talents from the world? Or are you a small business owner? Win the franchise and spread your delicious chips far and wide. But in regards to chips, if you are, don't do it. Because Siete needs to corner the market and just have all chips be Siete chips. Because they're so good. I can't wait to rewatch this footage and realize that none of this makes a fun sound. And then I'm just insanely mashing on lettuce and tomatoes and what have you. But I do love steak. Dog prices, dog eyeing me. In terms of my own life, I do lean more towards pragmatic, I feel. Because sometimes there's a kind of wishy-washiness to utilitarianism, to like the kumbaya, everyone's awesome, let's all, sing and dance and, compliment each other, Sometimes there's just a sort of like, that's nice and that's necessary once in a while, and that's good to have. But you don't want it to descend into wishy-washiness where you're being stepped on and taken advantage of, and you're being used because someone holds the idea of, well, you got to do this to help your fellow man, over you. Sometimes people got to stay in their lane. Sometimes people with a lack of self-confidence, a lack of egocentric thinking, not in the sense of selfishness, but in the sense of prioritizing your own health, your own body, and your own spirit. And they kind of let that go to the wayside, and then they become sort of spiritually and mentally unhealthy. And then at that point, they kind of become detrimental to those around them. I mean, if you have, say, a family member who doesn't take care of themselves, aren't they kind of negatively affecting you? If you have a coworker who isn't striving to be the best they can be, isn't that kind of negatively affecting you? Bringing down the team, bringing down the environment, bringing down the message of the family. Nice hunk of fat right there. Because at some point, at the extremes of utilitarianism, you lose your identity. You lose what it means to be you. And I think an example of this is I took a leadership class for my work. And one of the exercises was, I kid you not, turn on your phone, look into your phone camera, and say 3 nice things about yourself. And I said, okay, I'm funny, I'm loyal, I'm an interesting guy, I'm cool, because I do think that, I'm a neat guy. As I stutter, I swear I'm cool. I swear I'm funny. But I think I'm a pretty cool guy. And maybe it wouldn't amaze you, maybe it would. The amount of people there who weren't able to say nice things about themselves. And if you're a viewer out there and you can't say something nice about yourself, well, then I call upon you to turn that around. Because everyone has good qualities, everyone has nice things about them. And you guys gotta recognize that. You gotta recognize your own self-worth. Because when you had people there who were full-grown adults, people there who were twice my age, and they couldn't even say, oh, I'm a hard worker, or oh, I'm a good husband or a good wife or a good friend. When you can't even do that, to me that's kind of sad, and it's indicative of a life where you've kind of been swept to the sidelines, almost as if you're not the hero in your own story, and that's the number one place you don't want to be. Because you're all heroes in your own story. You are your main character. And think about it from a practical sense. If your friend dies, if your coworker dies, if your family member dies, your life goes on. If you die, your life's done for. The end. Goodbye. No more do-overs. So shouldn't you care about your own life? Shouldn't you be invested in your own life? Shouldn't you at least act like you have some kind of stake in your destiny and where you end up? You gotta be a little selfish. You gotta care about yourself first before you can care about others. And I think that is the true utilitarian belief of them all. Self-love before all other love. Now let me eat some lettuce. Do you just need some time to think about this while I munch? You didn't see that, and you know what? I'm keeping it in anyway. Because I would never dilute your experience here. But I am running out of food, and W. Price is almost home. In which case, it's game over for any sense of relaxation we have here. Not because of W. Price, because of dog price right there. Another magnificent piece. She could come home at any second at this point. So I will do my little outro right now. But I'll keep eating. Just an outro so you get an outro in case I have to cut this off early. But can you hear my finger flutters? Does my ring mess it up? This has been a Price. As you may or may not know, I am that Price. And this Price can read, and I can indeed read. And as you may or may not know, Dog City never sleeps. I hope that you may sleep now. And we're back. Someone drove by, and for a hot second I really thought it was her. And I was like, oh my God, perfect timing. A false alarm. He is doing his warning woofs, though. Little sub-woofs. A subwoofer, you could say. So, how was your day? Is this like Blue's Clues where I should be like, yep, da-da-ba-da-ba-da, yeah, you're right, thank you. What's that? Let's go over here. Okay, let's go. Say what you will about Blue's Clues. The guy who played Steve, incredible actor. The guy basically had like 20 conversations with himself at once at all times in like an all green screen room. And still made it convincing. Good for him. I think I'm priced in an oopsie. I don't really have a well-balanced meal. I don't have any fruits, I don't have any cheese. And if you think tomatoes are a fruit and not a vegetable, you might be right, but you're sick. VeggieTales would never lie to me. Don't mind as I get more chips. I'm not usually a chip guy, but these are just something else. And I have the lettuce to counteract it. As we're approaching the end of our 500 subscriber celebration journey, I guess for the second time, the second end, I would like to thank all the people out there who watch my videos, whether you watched it for one time or watched it one time and kept watching new ones and have been with me ever since. Anyone who supported me, that's pretty cool. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend it with me. No matter what I'm doing. Or maybe you're just here for my dog. And I gladly welcome another 500 more of you. Hopefully we get that. Let's keep growing. Tell your friends, tell your family. Maybe don't tell your coworkers because they might question you for watching a guy eat potato chips and lettuce. Tell some of them, maybe. The cool coworkers. We all have cool coworkers, and we all have lame coworkers. The lame ones haven't figured it out yet, but they're on their way, and they might figure it out someday. And maybe they just need a push. Whether it's a push into self-confidence or a push off a bridge. Maybe one of you will be that push. Don't quote me. The final chip. And what a chip it was. What a time this was. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a good rest of your night. This has been Price, and Price can read, and I hope you do something nice for yourself today. Dog, so you never sleep.